Good morning, everyone. I'm Michael. I'm going to be your host for this morning's session. Today we're looking at, I suppose, part one of our management reporting series. So we're starting with the very basics today. We're looking at nominal codes. A lot of you will have registered on the back of seeing the message when you've gone into Sage 50 accounts. So we've got a series of webinars, and I'll tell you more about those in just a moment. Today we're looking at nominal records, though. Probably spend around about 45 minutes looking at that. For some of you, you will probably know the topic inside out. You might just get a little bit of reassurance that your understanding is correct. For others, you might be fairly new to Sage, and others you'll sit somewhere in between. Anyway, hopefully you'll feel a lot more confident towards nominal codes and have a better understanding of them when we're finished today. Now, during the session today, a little bit of housekeeping just before we do get stuck in. You may find that your interface is a little bit different. So you might look a little bit different from what we've got there, but you don't need a microphone for these sessions. If you've got one, you will find it's muted automatically. You can't unmute yourself during the session. You will be able to submit questions though. Now you're either going to have a toolbar down the right-hand side of your screen, or you will have a little option at the top. Now, depending what you've got, if you just click the questions option, either on the toolbar or along the top of your screen, you'll be able to access the questions panel. And that's where you can start entering any comments or questions you might have. And remember to click send, and either myself or Laura will pick that up today. So you may get a typed answer, you may get a link to an article, or it may be myself just read it out and I'll demonstrate that to you, or maybe we can run a little bit of an extra demonstration here and there as well. There is an opportunity to download a copy of today's slides as well if anyone wants a copy of those. There'll be the full color version and also what we term the print-friendly version. As normal, the session is being recorded, and a link to that recording will be included on your follow-up email. So you'll get that follow-up email around about an hour after we finish. That will also include a link to our registration page. So if there's any other topics you'd like to attend, have a look at that. Loads of topics. Currently runs up to the end of February. We'll shortly be adding in March sessions as well. There will also be a link included on that email to our recordings page. So if you've missed any sessions or you need a bit of a recap, if you've attended any sessions before, then do take advantage of that. Those are available whenever you want access to them. So keep one of those emails handy. It means you can get straight at those screens should you need them. Now, this is part one of the series that we're running at the moment. So we've run these topics a few times before. So we're going to start with nominal codes. So setting sort of the scene a little bit for working or moving on to the other options. Next week, we'll be introducing the chart of accounts session. Week after, we'll be looking at management reports. So looking at the trial balance, profit and loss and balance sheets. And they're all building on knowledge that you're going to gain as you work through this series. So for the management reports, we're going to be looking at the reports themselves, what they show, and also more importantly, how they calculate. So when you are looking at that report, you'll have a much better understanding. And if you are ever challenged or you're looking at maybe you're just looking at the figures yourself, you think, where on earth does that come from? You'll have that understanding to be able to find out. We're then going to move on to management reports. So looking at the same reports, we'll normally concentrate on the P&L for that one as well, where we look at how do you generate that beyond the end of your financial year. So if you're not ready to run year end yet and you need a P&L for what will be a new financial year, how can you find out about that? What options have you got? But also looking, if you need to run it for a previous financial year, what options have you got as well? And then final sort of topic in this sort of series is looking at the aged debtors and creditors, which link in with those management reports as well. So looking at a breakdown of your debtors and creditors via the aged reports to see what's outstanding and how you can reconcile and agree those figures. Quite a common one, common query when people run either a year end or a month end. So we'll be looking at that as well. So those are all available to register for. Remember, the registration link will be included in your follow-up email, which you will receive around about an hour after we finish. So watch out for that one. Today's session, this is what we're covering. So we'll start with a little bit of an introduction. We're going to touch on nominal code types as well, the nominal ledger structure, setting up a new nominal code and the nominal record itself. So again, I suppose starting with the basics, those initial building blocks of the nominal ledger. And if you do attend the other sessions, you'll see how we progress all the way through to the likes of the management reports. And hopefully you'll have a much better understanding. It also means as well, if you need to add new nominal codes, by following that series, you'll be able to see sort of when setting up a nominal code, right, what does it relate to and where does it fit in with my profit and loss and balance sheet reports? So you'll have a good idea of then what numbers to use. And just right at the end of the session today, we're going to pick up on a little bit about the additional support. And obviously, if there's anything outstanding that Laura hasn't been able to pick up on myself during the session, we'll open up to a few questions as well. But keep them coming. Do engage with us. Come in from Simon already, so I think Laura's going to pick that one up. Right, let's get started though. So we're going to start with the basics, a little bit of an introduction. Now, hopefully you're familiar with the nominal codes ledger or module in CH50 accounts. It basically holds all of your nominal codes. Now, if you aren't that familiar with nominal codes yet, it's just a nominal code is a way of categorizing a transaction. So eventually it can be reported upon. So if you think about something like, say, your household budget, for instance, you're looking at your own bank account, you might go through that, your bank statement, and think, right, well, I've spent that much on food shopping, that one, that one, that one. So you might categorize it so you can see what you've spent in total. And that's essentially what nominal codes are doing. You're categorizing those transactions entered into your accounts so you can keep a track of sales and purchases and certain overheads, etc. Now, every time you enter a transaction, you'll need to assign a nominal code to it. Now, sometimes that will be picked up automatically so that the debits and credits, etc., behind the scenes are done automatically for you. But when you enter the likes of an invoice or credit note or a bank payment, bank receipt, even a journal, you will need to specify a nominal code for that transaction. Now, the nominal codes themselves, we're going to go into this in a bit more detail as we progress through the webinar today. The nominal codes are organised and structured by what we would term the chart of accounts, so the balance sheet and profit and loss. And just looking at the nominal code, the nominal codes module itself, you've got a couple of views, and I'll quickly demonstrate this one in just a moment. So you've got Analyzer. These options are in the top right-hand corner of your nominal codes screen. So you've got Analyzer, which is the default view. There's a few options if you do select that, but the most popular view is the list view, where it just gives you a list of nominal codes. Now you can filter your list and you can search your list as well. So probably one of the biggest queries, I suppose, or biggest difficulties you have when you're new to Sage is trying to find the right nominal code to use. You might know what it's called, but you can't think of the number. And you might be scrolling up and down the list trying to find that. So that's where the search option comes in. I'm just going to quickly share my screen. So we'll go across to my desktop. So you should be able to see that at that point. Now today I'm using Sage 50 Accounts Professional. It is version 33. If you're on a lower level of the software, not to worry. I'll try and point out any differences along the way, which I don't think there are many for covering today. And if you're on a lower version as well, so version 33 is out there. It's been out there since probably about mid-November, I think it was released. So if you are wanting to get hold of that, you can just refer to our help center. And you'll be able to, there'll be instructions on how to download and install that. So things to consider before upgrading, etc. So anyway, we're going to go into nominal codes down the left here. So just click into nominal codes. And basically I've got mine set to list view. Now, when you first go in, when you first start using Sage 50 accounts or it's a brand new company, you will find it's in what you term analyzer view. So it'll be this view here where you've got options grouped together. So you've got total sales, total purchases. These can be expanded. So you'll see, and this is where it uses the chart of accounts. Your chart of accounts provides the structure So things like where it says product sales. That's obviously something that we're going to cover in a lot more detail in the next session where we look specifically at the chart of accounts. But you can keep expanding all the way to nominal code level. So some of them will be grouped together. So in this case, we've got this range of nominal codes, which are grouped under the heading product sales. Now that's the default view. Obviously, it's got the relevant balances against them, etc. as well. But what you tend to find a bit easier to work with is the vast majority of users, I'll probably say about 99% of our users, if not more, they will work in what you term list view. Just makes it that bit easier. So by default, you've got your nominal codes. They're going to be in numerical order. If you find that out of numerical order, it's probably just like you've clicked on one of the headings by mistake. So I clicked on debit as an example. It'll put them in ascending order by debit balance. Similarly, if I click on the same heading again, it would put them in descending order. So you can sort by whatever you want. So if you're looking for a specific nominal code, you might prefer them to be in alphabetical order. But by default, they will be in numerical order. That's sort of where the groupings are going to come in as well. We'll cover the groupings a little bit later on, so the numbering sequence, etc. Right, let's just head back to the slides for a moment. Find the right button, there we go. Now, there are three types of nominal codes, which actually will not make a lot of difference when you're working in the software. Sometimes when you're entering a transaction, it'll say you can't specify this one. So if you're trying to do a bank payment, it won't let you do it won't let you switch from one, make a payment from one bank account to another. So there are certain restrictions on certain things. But there are three account types, and you'll see the account type if you go into a nominal record. So not a great deal of difference. A standard nominal code with no specific settings will just be flagged as a nominal account. You may have one flagged as a bank account, which is basically just a nominal code that appears within the bank accounts ledger as well. Works in pretty much the same way as far as it'll be listed in that nominal list as well. And then finally, you've got one that may be flagged as a control account as well. So control accounts, which we're going to touch on a little bit later on as well. So control accounts, actually, we're going to pick on that next. But control accounts are either used as a default or more commonly are going to be used for automatic postings, and I'm going to try and explain that as we work through this session as well. So picking up on control accounts, if you want to check where they are within your software, you would just go to settings, control accounts. It'll bring up this list. The majority of them will be filled in for you. By default, you probably not have one for exchange rate variance, something that you would be forced to set up if you enable the foreign trader option within your software. But this is where you've got your lists. So you've got things like debtors control. You've got a nominal code entered. You've got creditors control. You've got a default bank listed. VAT on sales, VAT on purchases. So some of these settings, the software will look at that when it needs to make automatic postings behind the scenes. So if you enter a customer transaction, for instance, let's say it's a batch sales invoice. I've got an example of one of those that I'm going to show you in just a moment. It'll know that as well as posting the transaction against the customer account, so the relevant nominal code that you specify, etc. as well, it'll know also that it needs to make a posting to your debtors control account. Now, control accounts themselves, as I say, you can go into settings, control accounts. So sometimes they are strictly what you would term a control account. So they're used for automatic postings. Others are just used as a default. Now you can't delete a code that's flagged as a control account. It won't let you. And also if you start from scratch, if you ever create a new company and you think, well, I just want to start from scratch, the bare minimum that you would have set up within your nominal ledger is a list of control accounts. You've got to have those set up for the software to work and the postings to be made in the background. Now you can amend a control account generally as long as there are no postings associated with that. So if debtors control, for instance, if you needed to be something else, as long as you haven't made posted any transactions against that yet, then it would let you change it. But generally speaking, control accounts, as soon as a posting is being made to that, so your debtors, creditors, VAT on sales, purchases, as soon as some transaction is being posted that, you'll find you can't change it. Others where it's just a default, so for instance, the default bank, you can change that one at any time. Default bank is just the one that's highlighted automatically when you go into that screen. So I've got an example. So we're posting a batch customer invoice. So if you went into, I've included the screenshot there as well so you can see that. If you went to post a batch customer invoice and you specify your sales nominal or one of your sales nominal codes, so by default, they're going to be in the 4,000 range. If you were to specify that, essentially the postings behind the scene is that the net value of that transaction will be posted and would appear on the activity of that specific nominal code, so nominal 4,000 that you've specified. The VAT would be picked up on your sales tax control account. And the gross value would show against your debtors control account. So the full £120 in this example. So it does that automatically in the background. You only specify 4,000 against the invoice. It's looking at your control accounts list to pick up, right, where does the VAT element get posted to? So it'll refer to that control accounts list just to see which nominal code it needs to use. So it would use your sales tax control account. For your debtors, again, it would look at that list and say, well, what's a debtors control? That's where it needs to be posted against. So it uses essentially two of the control accounts in that particular instance, the sales tax and the debtors control. The only one you specify when entering the transaction is the main one, which is your sales nominal code. Now, I want to pick up on I suppose the breakdown, the numbering sequence. So sometimes some people don't realize this one. Now, default nominal codes are made up of generally 4 digits. Can be up to 8, but all of the default nominal codes are 4 digits. If you're setting up new ones, the best advice I can give you is consistency is the key. And I'll try and explain why. So once we go switch back to my screen in a moment. So consistency is the key. Try and stick with the same number of digits. Plenty of scope for that as well if you use 4 digits. Now, nominal codes are grouped together for reporting purposes. So if we look at that table on the right there on the slide I'm sharing, your fixed assets. The balance sheet determines the ranges. So by default, fixed assets covers from essentially nominal code number 1 up to 0999. So if you set up a new fixed asset nominal code, you would expect to use a number within that range. For current assets, it's from 1000 to 1999, if I count that right. Current liabilities should also will then be from 2000 to 2299. And then we go on to long-term liabilities, 2300 to 2999, etc. So your balance sheet really runs from number 1 up to 3999. Profit and loss nominal codes generally run from 4,000 to the end of your range. So again, you've got your main ranges. So for sales, for instance, you've got 4,000 to 4,999, but you'll have subcategories within that as well. depends on the analysis. So when you produce a profit loss, what sort of breakdown do you want to see? Do you want to see just individual nominal codes? Do you want to have the ability to group nominal codes together? So it's all to do with that level of detail that you might be after when you create new nominal codes. You have as many subcategories as you want as well in the chart of accounts. So it's important to consider your structure when adding new nominal codes so that it supports your grouping in the right place for your reporting purposes. So if you've got nominal 4,000, 4,001, 4,002, the way the chart of accounts works, it works on a low and a high sort of nominal code range. So you couldn't get it to add up just nominal 4,000 and 4,002 if there's one in the middle. So it's, again, that's something that we'll explore in a lot more detail in the chart of accounts session. So we've got that one. I think it's the same time as this, but Tuesday next week. Now the chart of accounts, just to give you a little bit of an example, you've got a profit and loss section within there. So profit and loss obviously used to calculate the profitability of your business, and that includes a number of sections. So your sales, your purchases, direct expenses, overheads, and taxation. So we've got an image there on the right-hand side of the profit, where the profit and loss tab selected, sales is highlighted, and then what it lists is the sales ranges. So you can see that first line there, product sales, 4,000 to 4,099. So if we wanted to set up a new nominal code and we wanted that to be sort of incorporated into the product sales section, when we produce a P&L, we need to give it an appropriate number so that it falls within that range. If we want it to be in the, say, export sales, again, we just look at that range and again, give it an appropriate number so that it sits within that range. Seen it many, many weird and wonderful nominal codes lists over the years. Some people just, whenever they set one up, they just give it the next available number. They ignore the ranges completely, and it means that the chart of accounts is really all over the place, and it makes it a lot harder to track things down and understand your accounts in probably the level of detail that you'd want. Now, these ranges that are listed there on the right, they can be amended. Again, that's where we go in much more detail in the chart of accounts session. You can even go to single nominal code ranges if you wanted, 4,000 to 4,000, 4,001 to 4,001. Just depends on the level of detail that you require. So I think by default, the chart of accounts, you can have up to, I think it's 80 nominal ranges in each section. Now the balance sheet's pretty much the same. Obviously, it covers different sort of ranges. But again, it's broken down in pretty much the same way. So again, the one you can see on the right there on the slide, just looking at fixed assets. So again, if you needed to set up a new nominal code, you just need to give it the appropriate number. You'll see these ranges come through a little bit later on in the session when we look at how you go about creating and setting up new nominal records. So the important thing is consistency and giving it the right number. So think about where you need that nominal record to sit within your nominal ledger, and if possible, what you need it grouped with. So that, just summarizing that chart of accounts, and again, as I say, we are going to go in a lot more detail. It basically provides a structure for your management report. So your chart of accounts is basically telling it, right, these are the profit and loss codes. These are the ones we need you to pick up when you run that report. This is what we need grouped together and added together. So it helps the software determine where it sits on those reports. Now you can have multiple layouts as well, different levels of detail for different purposes. You'll find it within Nominal Code's chart of accounts. The analyzer view uses that chart of accounts. The upcoming sessions we've got where we're going to go in a lot more detail. We've got that one Tuesday next week, 10th of Feb, 11 o'clock. And also a repeat of that session the following week, 18th of Feb at 2 p.m. If you haven't yet registered, they were advertised on the same message where you probably would have registered for this one, then you've still got plenty of time. So remember, the links are included on your follow-up email. Right, before we move on to a few more demos, just want to quickly cover setting up a nominal code and what options you've got. So when you go into the nominal codes window, you'll have a number of options along the top. New, it will open a blank record, just ask you to complete that. Now, that's where quite often people fall foul and they just think, what number should I give that? And that's quite a common call to our support team. So if you understand the chart of accounts or the sort of the ordering and the structure of your nominal ledger itself, you have a much better idea of what number you want to give that. Now, if you set up a nominal code that has the wrong number, you can't just go in and change that if you've entered transactions against it. It's pretty much fixed. So you've then got two options. One is to create another one with the number that you do require. And then you've got two options. One is to either edit your transactions and essentially move them across to the required nominal code. Or if you're not in a position to be able to do that, or maybe it's not practical because you've got too many, it would be a case of maybe posting some journals to transfer that balance across. But new will open a blank record, and it's just a case of you completing that. We'll have a look at that in just a second. The wizard, it provides that step-by-step guide to creating a record. The idea of the wizard is that it sort of helps it uses the chart of accounts as part of that wizard to almost like suggest what number you should be using. So it'll ask, right, is it a sales or a purchase nominal code? And within sales, what area do you want it grouped with? So those subcategories. So it'll just sort of help you. You tend to find that you might use that when you first start creating nominal records. Beyond that, you probably just go to new and then type in the number that you want to use yourself. Take it from that point. Duplicate will copy the selected nominal code that you've got highlighted and just enable you to create a new record based around that. Rarely use that one because there's not a lot of settings in a nominal record, and you'll see that in just a moment. Now, I'm going to share my screen. We'll quickly run through that. Now, I'll cover the bank accounts bit in a moment as well. We'll pick that up on the back of that. So I'll share my screen. Find the right option. There we go. And we'll start creating a couple of nominal codes. Now, if I just scroll down my nominal codes list, we'll go to the 4,000 range where we've got a list of our sales nominal codes. So here we've got some here. Now, let's say I want to set up a new one. And I want that to be, when I produce a P&L, I want it to be grouped in my sort of in amongst my product sales. And let's say I want to create one called, specifically I want to call it Sales France as an example. So looking at this, I could think, I could use 4005 as an example. And it means that when I produce a P&L, it means it would group it with these other ones because the chart of accounts, it has that range 4,000 to 4,099. So it would mean it would group it together. If I did something like 4,300, then it's going to sit here somewhere in the list. And it means that I'm then going to potentially have issues trying to group it. So it's all to do with reporting the number that you give that. Now, if I just clear that selection for the time being, so nothing's highlighted, and I click new, and it just brings up a blank nominal record. So the first thing it asks me for, what number do you want to use? And that's where ideally you want that little bit of understanding as to where you want that to sit. So I wanted that to sit in amongst this range. So let's say I want to use 4005, I can do that. I can just type it in. When I tab out of that field, it just takes me down to the name. Give it a name, whatever you want to call that. And then I just save it. That's probably the reason why you won't use the duplicate option very often, because that's all you need to set up a nominal code. If I just save that, close out, you'll see it appears here and it just sits within that nominal range. Now, if you do add one and you can't see that, or you've added one and your colleague can't, or they've added one and you can't, just refresh your list. Just click refresh and it should reread the list for you. You can also obviously just close out of the nominal list. And when you come back in, it'll reread the list. Also ensure things like if you still can't see it, make sure you've got them in numerical order. So is yours tucked away, or make sure there's no filter applied. I'll come back to filters a bit later on. So make sure you've got that full list, they're in numerical order, and you should be able to see that. So creating them manually using the new option, just a case of typing in the number, typing in the name, clicking save, that's it. The wizard option will guide you through that process in a bit more detail. So if I just click wizard, give it a name. So I'll just pop in the name. What type of nominal code is it? And this is where it starts drilling down. So I can say, right, well, actually, yeah, this is a sales nominal code. And then it's going to ask you about the subcategory. So you can see it already, it's chosen product sales, but if mine is to fall with another category, so if I choose export sales, it would suggest the next available number in that sort of range. So 4,100 is already in use. You can, if I just move that over a little bit, you can see that in the background, 4,100. If I switch that back to product sales, you can see the nominal code it suggests is 4006. So again, it's looking at that sequence and saying, right, what's the next available code? You can still override it if you want to, but it will suggest it for you. And the idea of that wizard is exactly that. It suggests the number for you so that it sort of appears in the right section. If I just click next, usual options. I'm not going to enter an opening balance at this point. Just say no, there's no opening balance to enter. Create that nominal code, and it just adds it to the list for me. So nice and easy to create them. The duplicate option, if I just highlight a one, I've got duplicate at the top. Again, I think it's really just there for consistency more than anything with the rest of the software. But if I click duplicate, I'm still going to be prompted to enter a number. And the only thing that's any different is it says duplicate, and then in brackets, it's got the original name of whichever nominal code that you got selected. So it's unlikely that you're going to use that duplicate option when working within the nominal ledger itself. Much more likely if you're working in customers, suppliers, when you duplicate it, it'll copy things like the address between records, etc. as well. Now, I want to quickly mention if you need to set up a new bank account. Now, if I set up, go to bank accounts itself, let's say I want to create a new account and I'm going to call it 1201 as an example. So ideally, when setting up bank records, you want to do that within the bank accounts window. It's still nominal codes, but you want it to be categorized as a bank account. So you do that by, we'll just go on the new option. Again, you've got the option of new, wizard, duplicate, but we're just going to click new. We'll give it a number ourselves. Give me a blank record. And if I just say 1201 nominal, I'll just go bank, put my initials on the end just so we can identify that one. And then I'll save it. Obviously, there's other settings in here as well, but we'll just save it for the time being. So then list it. Now it also puts it in my nominal codes list. So we'll go back to the nominal codes list. Bank accounts are in the 1200 range by default. So there it is there. But it means it's because I've set it up as a bank record, it means I can post a bank payment from this account. I could do a bank receipt into it. I can do supplier payments, customer receipts, bank transfers between this and other accounts. Now, if I'd set that bank account up, and I'm going to show you this one, because we get asked about this all the time as well. If I'd set that bank account up within the within the nominal codes window, so I just click new, and this time I'll do 1202. And I'll just put Laura in this time. I'll save it. Now that sets it up as, so on the list there, Bank Laura, but if I go to bank accounts, it doesn't list that. So it's not recognized that as an actual bank record. So it's still set up in my nominal codes list, but it's not recognized as a bank record. So I just go back to nominal codes. That first one I set up, I go into it, just double click it. You'll see it actually says bank account in the account type. If we go into 1202, the one that says Bank Laura, go into that one, open it. This one just says nominal account. Now, as long as I haven't entered any transactions against that account yet, what I can do to essentially convert it to a bank account is to go into the bank accounts area, click new, and if I call that one up, so 1202, as soon as I press the tab key, I'll get a message saying a nominal code with this reference already exists. Do you wish to convert it to a bank account? And if I click yes to that prompt, you'll see it pulls through the nominal name for me, and I'll just save it. And if I close out of that, you'll see it's now listed in that bank accounts list. Still a nominal code, but it's now flagged as a bank account, so it appears in your bank accounts list. So try not to get caught out with that one. Now you can only do that if you've set it up in that way and you haven't entered any transactions. If you have entered transactions against the code, well, it was just set up as a standard nominal code, it will not let you convert that across. So again, it will be a case of setting up a new bank record for it with a new number and then editing the transaction, or maybe just transferring the balance across between the two, essentially those two nominal codes. So if it's a bank record, always go within the bank account and set your record up that way. Again, I could have done that within the wizard. It would let me set that up and it would create that. Would let me set that up for me. Again, keep your questions coming. See, loads are coming through. It's just myself and Laura on the session today, so do bear with us. We could obviously start picking up some of those questions towards the end as well, but do keep them coming. We'll try and answer as many as we can. Now, next, I'm just going to quickly pop back to the slides. I just want to quickly mention the nominal record itself. We're going to have a look at a nominal record in a moment, just so you can see and discuss a little bit about other information within there. So there's essentially 4 tabs within a nominal record. You've got your details tab, which is the one we've looked at so far. Now that's going to show the main nominal details, the code, the description, etc. You're going to have other information on there as well. You'll have your actuals column, your budgets column you may or may not have, depends on your budgeting type that you've got set up. Some of you might be aware of that one because you've attended the recent budget sessions. But generally by default, if you're set up for the standard budgets, you'll have that budgets column. And then you'll have a prior year column as well. So that's where you'll see your key, I suppose your key summary information on the details tab. Memo, which is the second tab, just allows you to attach documents, maybe record other notes against it. I don't think I've seen anyone ever use that feature in Sage, but it is there by default, just for consistency with the other record areas. Your activities, where you're going to see all the transactions that have been posted to the account. So you'll see all the debits and the credits, the individual transactions, all the transactional information itself. We'll have a look at that in a moment. And there is also a graph option. Has anyone ever noticed that? Again, not massively used, but there is a graph option in there. Now, when you go onto the graph tab, a lot of people just look at that and think, oh, it doesn't really show me anything. To get started, you'll need to click the options tab at the top. So you'll need to click options at the very top on the toolbar when you're on the graph tab, and you'll need to choose what information you want to display. I'll try and show you that in just a second. So let's go back to my screen. We'll quickly have a look at the nominal record. So we'll just have a look at that nominal 4,000. So I can either scroll up and down trying to find it. If you don't know what, maybe you know what it's called. Oh, helps if you can spell. So I just type sales at the top. So maybe I'm looking, scrolling up and down, I just cannot find it. So I can type part of the description in there, and it'll bring up the appropriate ones that I'm after. So I'm just going to have a look at this one. I'll double click 4,000 to get into it. It'll bring up that nominal record for me. So we've got the 4 tabs down the side here. So you've got your nominal code, it's got the name, it's got the balance against it. If you were just starting out, you've got your option to enter your opening balance as well, and it shows the relevant account type as well. You've got your months of your financial year. You've got your actuals column, so as you enter transactions against that nominal code, it'll just feed into the appropriate month. And depending on your budgeting method, you will probably have a budgets column as well. I'm set up for the advanced budgets method, so I don't have one of those, but you'll have the budgets if you're set up for the standard method. And then you've got a prior year column as well. You can actually display additional columns as well. So if I just right click any column heading, it'll show you which columns you can display. So you can have the previous financial year plus up to an additional 4 of those if you want that level of detail. I'll just leave it as is. Your memo tab, again, rarely use this one. Probably not that much that you would ever want to attach against a specific nominal code, but it is there. If you run Essentials, you'll just get this button box so you can enter a text memo, but if you're standard professional or client manager, you'll get what we term the document manager box as well. Again, that's available throughout the software, so you can start attaching documents, maybe add a link to a document, attach the document itself. But as I say, rarely used within the nominal codes or the nominal records themselves. Activity is where you're going to see all of the transactions. Obviously, you can filter your list. You've got various options here. So you can choose individual months. It'll show you the individual months of your financial year. They'll just be in the order of your financial year as well. You might want to see the first half of the year, second, quarters, etc. And then you've got your custom range as well. If you choose custom range, it will let you specify whatever it is you're after. Just cancel out of that. By default, obviously, it'll just show you everything. So, but the default range is going to run from 1st of the 1st, 1980 up to 2099. It means you're going to get everything. So you've got years and years worth of activity on there, all of the various transactions. It's going to list them for you. And then the final one, which I want to quickly show you, is the graph option. So this is what you're going to see probably when you first go into this window. So as I say, if you want to use the graph, you need to click into options at the top and choose what options you want to display. So if I wanted to see the actuals figures, for instance, in graph form, switch that one on. You've got a few options there for graph style as well. It depends which way you like viewing it. You can show your data labels. So you've got a number of options in there should you want. It should hold those settings as well. But when you first go in, you might think, oh, it's completely blank, nothing in there, it's not working properly. Just options at the top, and then you'll be able to start choosing your options. Any additional questions? Keep them coming. I'm going to help try and support some of those in a moment as well. So loads coming through. Right, okay. I suppose the last area I want to quickly mention, if we just go back to the slides for a moment, is the inactive records feature. So you might find, particularly if you've used Sage for quite some time, there might be a great big list of nominal codes and you just think, well, actually, I'm never going to use those, or maybe old ones that you used at one point, but actually they're now just cluttering up your list. Now you may be able to delete them. That's something that Laura is going to be covering over the next couple of weeks on webinars where we look at clearing out old records, so clearing audit trail, deleting old customers, suppliers, nominal codes, bank accounts that maybe you no longer need. Maybe you never needed in the first place. It's just quite a comprehensive list you're provided with. So but you do have an inactive records option, meaning that if you don't use it, rather than deleting it, you can actually just hide it. Now, we'll need to meet certain criteria to be able to hide it. But otherwise, you can go into a record, you can tick the box to say, right, I don't use this one. I just want to flag it as being inactive. So you tick the box, save it, and then it'll flag it as being inactive. And from your nominal codes list, you can then, there's a little tick box in the top right-hand corner, include inactive, which will be ticked by default. But if you take the tick out of them, any that are flagged as being inactive will be filtered from that list. Now, it's a really simple feature, that one, available in customers, suppliers. It was originally customers, suppliers, and products, but because of the success of that one, we got loads of requests. Can you expand this to nominal codes and bank accounts as well? So it is in there, been in there for quite some time now. I'll quickly show you what it looks like, and then we'll start opening up to questions a little bit. Quickly share my screen. I'm going to knock that search off so we go back to the full list. So that's me back to the full list. So let's say this one as an example. It's got a zero balance. And I think, well, actually, I don't, or that maybe that one as well. Maybe I don't use these, and I don't want them listed anymore. I've got no intention of using them. But rather than delete them, I think I'd rather just hide them. You never know, in the future, I might use them. So office equipment, this 0030. If I double click that one, bring up the record, and I can just tick this little checkbox, this inactive checkbox. And when I save that, as long as it meets the criteria to be able to be flagged as an inactive record, it will do that. And I'm just left with a blank record. And what I see on this list, when I'm back on the nominal codes list, it shows Y in that inactive column. And using this little tick box in the top, it means by default, yes, it's there. But if I don't want to see that, I can take the tick out, and any that are flagged as being inactive are now hidden from that list. So it's a good way of tidying up your nominal codes list if there's loads of accounts that you just don't use. Obviously, it's a great big list. By default, so you've got that massive, well, it seems like a massive list when you're first starting. So it means that you can hide them. Now, if I want that one back, I think, well, actually, I'll start using it again. Just tick the box, it's there. I could either start using it or I could just go back into the record, take the tick out. Essentially, it reactivates the account, save the changes. And that's now no longer flagged as being inactive. If you've never used inactive records before, it's customers, suppliers, nominal codes, bank accounts, and also your products and services list. You can flag those types of records as being inactive as long as they meet that criteria. I think we might have a webinar booked in for that as well. If you want a bit more detail on that, get yourself signed up for that one as well. But the important thing, just summarize really what we've covered today, it's understanding your nominal numbers and where they sit within that list. And if you do need to create a new one, what number you want to give that one so that it groups it with similar nominal codes. And for reporting purposes, if you give it the right number, it means it sits within the chart of accounts. You can group it together so it hits your profit and loss and your balance sheet correctly. Right, okay, again, final opportunity to start submitting your questions. I'll join in with those in just a moment. Again, your interface may look a little bit different. Do let us know if yours looks a little bit different to what I'm showing on your screen there. You normally get a bar down the right-hand side of your screen, which you can click on and it'll expand and you get that box. You may actually have joined via a browser today, in which case it'll look totally different. But let me know if you've got that bar down the side or not. Just pop a comment in the chat box for me. Now, loads of webinars in the pipeline. Mentioned some of them at the beginning. Just head along to sage.co.uk/webinars if you are wanting to register for any of them. So you can register for our 50 accounts webinars or 50 payroll webinars, but also if anyone uses any of the business cloud software options, those are available to book onto as well. Quick mention for Community Hub. Our Community Hub, if you've not come across that before, it's our online forum for Sage 50 accounts users. It gives you the ability to share knowledge, some ideas, solve problems. It doesn't have to necessarily be to do with just your software. A lot of people think it is for that. To be honest, probably the majority of questions do relate to your Sage 50 account software that are submitted on there. However, it might just be business advice you're after. Again, you can get into the community, pop in your query, and Sage employees or other Sage 50 users who are also community members can offer you advice. So it might be general business, it might be advice on your software itself. So you can share your expertise, keep up to date. Free to join, just head along to communityhub.sage.com. You can set yourself up an account and then off you go. The other one to quickly mention, we're currently running a learning survey. So it's a 2-question survey. If you've got your phone handy, just scan the QR code now. It's 2 questions. One will just be, like, what do you want to learn about? So nothing to do with your software this time. It's all about for your business. What do you want to learn about? Is it AI? Is it finance? What is it you want to learn? And the second question is just, right, what format do you prefer your learning to be in? Is it webinars? Is it instructor-led training? Is it short videos? Is it e-learns? Let us know what format you'd like to see that in as well. I've included the link on the handout if you do download that. Now, very quickly, let me quickly thank you for attending. I am going to open up to questions and start picking up some of those as well. So many thanks for coming along. I hope you've enjoyed that. As I say, some of you will have thought, well, actually, I knew all of that. Others will be thinking, right, well, maybe you've picked up some tips along the way. Or if you're brand new to Sage, maybe it's going to give you that good grounding for going forward onto our next sessions. So this and the chart of accounts go hand in hand. We then build on that knowledge further to start looking at your management reports. So your profit and loss, your trial balance, your balance sheet. So how do you run them? What they show? How do they calculate? So little steps. If you do want to attend this session again, we are repeating it next week. I can't remember the exact day of that one, but we'll be running chart of accounts, which is essentially part 2 in this series. We'll be running that on Tuesday at 11 next week. So if you're about to leave, there'll be a little survey pop up as you do. If you can take a minute to complete that, that would be greatly appreciated. We love reading the comments. Did we hit the mark? Is it what you expected? Topics you'd like to see covered going forward? Let us know. And your follow-up email will be with you in round about an hour's time. Questions, or Let's have a quick look, see what we've got. You've kept Laura really busy this morning, I can see. Andy, you mentioned earlier on, would you recommend using the bank range for bank loans? Uh, Sometimes it can give you a little bit more flexibility in so much that when you take out that bank loan, you might want to show that as an actual bank record rather than just a standard nominal code. Sometimes it just gives you that little bit of extra flexibility. Setting up a bank record to say, right, I've received that. Depends where the bank loan goes. Is it paid into your main credit, let's say your current account, for instance? If it is, then you don't necessarily need a bank loan account set up within the bank accounts list, in which case you'd probably just set that up as probably for a bank loan, something like a current liability. So you just need to find an appropriate nominal code for that one. But it's really up to you how you want to show that. Let's see what else we've got. Victoria, your question familiar? Can you merge any of the nominal codes from previous data or not? You can't merge nominal codes. The only thing you can do in that sort of situation where you might have a number of nominal codes and you think, right, going forward, I just want to use one. So let's go back to my screen just for a few moments. And I'm going to pick on my sales accounts. So I'll just bring up the share for that one. So we go down to in the 4,000 range as an example. Just scroll right down. Right, so let's say those two nominal codes as an example, we'll just pick on two. Let's say going forward, I don't want to split it between sales north and south. I just want to merge them. So going forward, I might rename the first one to just say, let's say sales England as an example, rather than sales north, sales south. And I don't want to use sales south anymore. So I'd maybe rename 4,000 to something more appropriate. And then if I've got a balance against that sales south, I can either go in to look at the individual transactions and say, right, actually, I want them to be against nominal 4,000, or I could just do a journal to essentially transfer that balance from one nominal code to the other. It depends what you're after and what the specific scenario is. If you're not sure, that's where our support team can come in and support you with that type of query. Victoria, your other question, if you switch from standard budgeting to advanced, will it affect your data? The only thing that's any difference data-wise is that for the standard method, so if I just set mine to standard, yeah, you did say from standard to advanced. So if I just quickly switch, it's going to ask me to log in again. So if I'm on the standard method, just quickly switch it back. Let's okay that. Just give it a moment there while it thinks about that. So if I go back to the nominal codes now while I am set up for the standard method, I'll just show you what a nominal record then looks like with the standard method. So this is the budgets column that I didn't have available earlier. So any information in here is basically by switching to the advanced method, that information is now then going to be hidden. I don't have access to that anymore on the standard method. And I would enter the budgeting information via the budgets option, which we can then access either via the departments option or within nominal codes. You're going to have a budgets icon at the top on your toolbar. So it doesn't affect your data in any other way. It's just that budgeting information, you lose it from this column because you can no longer see that. Just a slightly different way of working. Well, the rest of your data, absolutely fine. Makes no difference to you whatsoever. See if we've got anything else. Caroline, you mentioned about the graphs. When looking at the graphs, can you do the graphs together? So all of the sales nominal codes? You can't. Fortunately, not possible. It's something. Yeah. If you need that information, really, you want to be sending that type. I suppose you need to be sending that information to the likes of Excel. You may be able to use the business dashboard. Just depends. It depends exactly what you're after. Business dashboard might actually be a good option for you in that scenario. If you've not used that before, just here. I don't think a widely used option, that one, but we run a webinar on it now and again. There is a recording on that as well, if you are interested. Copilot's starting to do that type of thing now as well. So we're starting to develop where you can get at graph information. So that would look at probably sales in total as opposed to individual nominal codes. But when you're within the record, it is just that one records graph that you are looking at. Again, just picking up on Bev's query as well, if you create a new nominal codes for something under the wrong category, do you just create a new one in the right one? Yeah, it's a case of setting up that nominal code in the right category, and then if needed, you would either edit the transactions or journal a balance across. If it's from a previous financial year though, it's right, well, what impact is it going to make? Do you need to bother with that information if it's from a previous financial year or not? You're not really going to be able to transfer all that history across. So sometimes it's just easier just to, if you are in that position, just to journal the balance across if there is one, rather than the actual historical information. Let's see what else we've got. Laura's just about picked them all up. Victoria, your other question was with regard to the year-end journals. Could you then delete the sort of the code that you maybe don't no longer need? If you've got a nominal code which has activity against it, so this is a bit like a customer and a supplier record. If there's activity on that, you're not going to be able to delete a record. That goes for customers, suppliers, nominal records, bank accounts. If there's any activity against the record at all, you're not going to be able to delete that. So you would need to look at maybe clearing your audit trail. That's where maybe using the inactive option would be the better option. So you're not able to delete it because there's activity there. Maybe you don't want to clear the audit trail. So it's just a case that you would just flag it and hide it. Right, what we'll do, we'll have a quick look through the questions. If there's any outstanding a little bit later on this afternoon. If there are, we'll get back to you via email. For now, we're going to end the webinar. So many thanks for coming along. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you've got any thoughts you want to share with us, any feedback, pop it on the survey. It should pop up as you leave today's session. And we love reading those comments. So if you can take that minute or so to do that, greatly appreciate it. But hopefully we'll see you on some other webinars soon. Many thanks.